In the year 100 AD, Rome was the largest city in the world, home to over 1 million people. But what was life really like there? Forget everything you've seen in Hollywood movies. The reality was far dirtier, louder, and more dangerous than you could ever imagine. Welcome to a day in the life of an ordinary Rom-Mong. Get ready, because you're about to discover that public baths weren't exactly hygienic. That toilet paper didn't exist, and that life on the streets of Rome was a true battle for survival. Let's start with the morning. You wake up in an insula, a multi-story apartment building. If you're not wealthy, you live on one of the upper floors. There's no running water up here. No bathroom, and definitely no heating. The smell, unbearable. A mixture of sweaty bodies, rotten food, and human waste. Yes, human waste. Because during the night, people relieve themselves in ceramic pots. And in the morning, they simply throw the contents out the window straight onto the street below. If you're walking through the streets of Rome at dawn, you'd better pay attention to what's coming from above. Warning shouts don't always happen, and when they do, it might already be too late. The streets are narrow, dark, and reeking. There's no organized garbage collection system. Animal droppings, food scraps, and yes, those morning dumps from windows, it all accumulates in the alleyways. Rome might be the center of the civilized world, but its streets tell a different story. Now let's talk about the bathroom. Or rather, the lack of one in your home. If you need to relieve yourself during the day, you have a few options. You can use that pot we mentioned. You can go to a public latrine. Or, if you're in a hurry, you can simply find a dark corner in the street. Public latrines are fascinating. Imagine a room with marble or wooden benches, side by side, with no partitions. That's right, no privacy whatsoever. You do your business sitting next to complete strangers, chatting about politics, business, or the latest gossip from the forum, and toilet paper. It doesn't exist. Instead, there's a communal sponge on a stick, called a tersorium. You share this with everyone else. You dip it in a channel of running water, use it, rinse it, and leave it for the next person. Try not to think about it too much. The smell in these latrines is overwhelming. The Romans burn incense and perfumes to mask it, but nothing really helps. And here's something that will shock you. These latrines are actually social gathering places. Romans conduct business deals here. They network. It's completely normal. But wait, there's more. Those channels of water running beneath the latrine benches, they're connected to Rome's famous sewer system, the Cloaca Maxima. It's an engineering marvel, yes, but it's also a breeding ground for rats, disease, and occasionally deadly sewer gas explosions. Now, you might be thinking at least the Romans had those famous bathhouses, right? Yes, they did. The Thermae were magnificent structures with hot baths, cold baths, steam rooms, and exercise areas. But here's what nobody tells you: they were filthy. The water in these baths was rarely changed. Sometimes it stayed the same for days, even weeks. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of people used the same water. Think about that. All those bodies, all that sweat, and worse, all sharing the same pool. Skin diseases spread like wildfire in the baths. Fungal infections were common. Eye diseases passed from person to person. And if someone had an open wound, well, let's just say infection was almost guaranteed. The Romans did have some understanding of hygiene, but it was very different from ours. They believed that rubbing olive oil on your skin, then scraping it off with a curved metal tool called a strigil, was the way to get clean. No soap, just oil and scraping. And those magnificent Roman togas you see in movies, most ordinary Romans couldn't afford them. You'd wear a simple tunic, made of wool or linen. You'd wear it for days, even weeks, without washing it. Laundry was expensive and labor-intensive. Let's talk about food. If you're poor, you're eating mainly bread, porridge made from grain, some vegetables, and if you're lucky, a bit of fish. Meat is a luxury. Your apartment doesn't have a kitchen because of fire risk, so you eat cold food or buy hot meals from street vendors. The food from these vendors, often contaminated. Food poisoning is common. There are no health inspections, no refrigeration. That fish you're eating, it might have been sitting in the sun for hours. Speaking of fire risk, let's address the elephant in the room. These insulae, these apartment buildings where most Romans live, are death traps. They're built cheaply, often illegally tall, with wooden floors and no fire safety measures. Fires break out constantly. When they do, they spread with terrifying speed. If you live on an upper floor, your chances of escape are slim. Rome has a fire brigade, the vigils, but they're often too late. Entire city blocks can burn down in a single night. And if fire doesn't get you, the building might simply collapse. Shoddy construction means that insulae sometimes just fall down, crushing everyone inside. It happens often enough that Romans have a word for it and accept it as a fact of urban life. Now, let's talk about nighttime in Rome. When the sun sets, the city transforms into something even more dangerous. There's no street lighting except for the occasional oil lamp. The streets become pitch black. Crime is rampant. Muggers, thieves, and gangs control the streets after dark. If you're smart, you don't go out at night unless you absolutely have to. And if you must go out, you hire armed escorts or travel in large groups. But here's something that makes nighttime even worse. That's when all the commercial traffic happens. Wagons and carts are banned from the streets during the day because of congestion. So at night, they rumble through the city, making sleep nearly impossible. The noise is deafening. Wagon wheels on stone streets, drivers shouting at each other, the crash of goods being loaded and unloaded. If you live on a street-facing apartment, forget about getting any rest. Medical care in ancient Rome is primitive by our standards. Doctors have some knowledge, yes, but much of it is based on flawed theories. They believe in the four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Balancing these is their approach to healing. Surgery is performed without anesthesia. If you need a tooth pulled, you're awake for it. If you need an amputation, you're awake for that too. Maybe you get some wine or opium to dull the pain, but that's about it. Infant mortality is staggering. Nearly half of all children die before the age of 10. Diseases that we can easily cure today, like infected wounds or respiratory infections, are often death sentences. And here's something dark that Romans accept as normal. Unwanted babies are simply left outside to die. It's called exposure, and it's completely legal. If a father doesn't want to raise a child, for any reason, he can abandon it. Some are picked up by slave traders. Most die. Life expectancy in Rome is about 25 to 30 years. But this number is misleading. If you survive childhood, you might live into your 50s or 60s. But that childhood survival is a big if. Let's talk about entertainment. The Romans love their games. The Colosseum, the Circus Maximus, these are the centers of Roman social life. But the entertainment is brutal. Gladiator fights to the death. Criminals executed in elaborate, gruesome ways. Animals slaughtered by the hundreds. The crowd loves it. Violence is entertainment. Death is spectacle. Children watch these events. It's considered normal, even educational. This is what Roman civilization looks like up close. Despite all of this, life goes on in Rome. People fall in love, raise families, build businesses, create art. The city is full of magnificent temples, forums, and monuments. Roman engineering is the wonder of the world. But behind the marble facades, life is harsh. The gap between rich and poor is enormous. The wealthy live in spacious villas with private baths, gardens, and slaves to serve their every need. The poor struggle to survive in overcrowded, dangerous conditions. The Romans have conquered most of the known world, but they haven't conquered the basic challenges of urban life: sanitation, public health, fire safety, crime. These problems persist throughout Rome's history. So, the next time you see a movie about ancient Rome with its gleaming marble and noble heroes, remember this: the reality was far less glamorous. It was a world of survival, where the smell of human waste mixed with incense, where disease lurked in every shared bath, and where fire could consume your home at any moment. This was life in 100 AD. This was ancient Rome, not the myth, but the reality. A place of incredible achievements, built on a foundation of daily hardship that most of us today couldn't imagine enduring for even a single day. And yet, 1 million people called it home.